Welcome into the Toronto Sports Rush here on the Bet Rivers Network. Remember to like and subscribe. We have a lot of great content for you right here. EJ Hradek, joined by a former Leaf and a friend of mine, and one of the great guys in the game, Eddie Olczyk. Eddie, how are you?
Hi, H. How you doing, pal?
Good. Let me ask you, because the Leaf season has been over now for a couple of weeks. People have had time to think about it. And there's the ongoing search, what they're going to do moving forward. I guess the bigger picture, Eddie, and I know you watch these teams all very closely and you have, thoughts about, maybe which way they should go.
Mhm.
Is this, in your mind, is it a retool or is it a rebuild in Toronto?
Well, first off, EJ, thanks for having me. Always great to see you. I would probably say currently it's probably a little bit of both when you look
Okay.
at what they have, what their strengths are, obviously, and what their needs are. So do you have to pull from one of your strengths? And I'm talking players now, not knowing each and every player's contract and what is allowed and what isn't, from no move, no trade, whatever,
Yeah.
minimal, whatever it is. Full disclosure, I thought they should have, and I said it right after it happened. It was the Tampa win against the Leafs. I think going back now, I think 3 to 4 years ago, the
Yeah.
Nick Paul game, this Game 7 at in Toronto, and I thought that anything should have been on the table then, and now
Mhm.
here we are. Now, obviously, things have changed dramatically with the decision to let Mitch Marner go,
Yeah.
and keep the other core, as far as with Austin and with Nylander and Riley, and then re-signing John Tavares. So, but I think anything should be on the table, and with what they do have, I think that there is the opportunity to do it relatively quickly, but you're going to need to have somebody that's got big plums to stand up and to be able to endure and observe and understand that this is where we were, this is where we are, and this is where we are trying to get to. And there's going to be people that agree and the people that don't agree, but the only way we're going to assess it is when you see what happens in a couple of years. So I think anything should be on the table, but I think it's a combination of your question.
You know, I think at the end of the day, a lot of this has to do really with Auston Matthews. I mean, you don't want to be in that situation you were in with Mitch Marner, where all of a sudden he's in the final year of his contract, and he's pretty much decided that he's not interested in coming back, and then the Leafs are in the position of, hey, well, maybe we don't want you back. So, I mean, do you want to go? I mean, don't you have to have that conversation with Matthews probably now about what the future looks like for him and the organization?
Without a doubt, you definitely want to be ahead of it, but it's it's an interesting dynamic now, where it seems like in a lot of situations, and a player like Auston Matthews, without any hesitation, deserves the type of contract that he wanted. And I'm not only talking about the dollars, I'm talking about the terms of it. And yes, he wants to be able to drive the bus, but if it's an organizational decision to just start handing out no trades and no movements to, pretty much, 7, 8, 9, 10 players on your roster, you're really going to put yourself in a tough spot. So again, it's an organizational philosophy. There are certain guys, and if certain guys don't want to live by those rules, well, then you have to make hard decisions and either, move those guys or trade those guys or negotiate with those guys that, this is the way that we're going to do business, and we're only going to give those type of contracts out. So it really puts the team in a really, really tough spot. No different than what's going on. And I'm here in Edmonton for
Mhm.
Game 5 between the Ducks and the Oilers, but very similar to situation where we saw Connor McDavid sign a 2-year extension, and
Mhm.
he holds all the cards, and he dictates the terms, and rightfully so. but it just makes it does put the teams in a difficult spot with those type of players, because you want those guys to be long, lifelong Oiler in McDavid, and you want Auston Matthews to be a lifelong Toronto Maple Leaf. But I think you do have to have that conversation and get a good sense for it. But you only can play the hand that's dealt, and no question, you have to get to Auston Matthews and his representatives and get an idea if he's interested in being there long term. If he is, well, then you have to take him for his word, and you can't do anything for a year anyway. So, but then you could start planning accordingly, and you see how it all plays out. So, and I know there's a lot there, but there's no doubt that you have to broach the conversation now, because
Yeah.
I mean he's always going to have great value. Let's make it perfectly clear. But in this situation, whoever's in charge in Toronto has to worry about the franchise first, and then worry about everything else. What's best for the organization when it comes to the individuals that are playing for you.
Yeah, and like someone like Matthews, like you said about, he'll always have value, and that is true. But I think his value ticks down every single day just because there's less time on his contract.
Well, yeah,
And
right.
as you get to
EJ,
less
I
time on
meant
the
value.
contract,
Value. Yeah, value. He's
yeah,
always going to have value. But I mean, from the team's
yeah,
point of view, I mean, right now
yeah,
it's at its highest. But look, he, he he's got two.
yeah,
He's got 2 years, right? He's got 2 years
yeah,
left.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
he's in control, so you could have all the
yeah.
conversations you want. You could tell him
That's
everything
right.
that
He was
he
only
wants
going to
to
go where
hear.
he wants to go,
Yeah,
if he wants
right,
to go, if they want to move
right,
him, and if he wants out. See,
right,
that is the problem, is that
right.
you might have a great deal with Team Y, and he decides he doesn't want to go there, so
Yeah,
that's problematic. But listen,
yeah,
I think I'm with you. I think the main idea there for the Leafs is to try to keep him and continue to build around him, which brings me to, like, how are they going to get better, right? Because, like, their defense is an older group,
hmm
and Tanev is, I mean, that guy gives you everything he's got, and
yeah,
when he's healthy, he's a good player. But he's into his late 30s now. He's coming off a year where he barely played at all, and he is. There's several guys that are in a similar spot. So if you're trying to get younger on defense, the only guy I see on their roster that could bring you back some significant value is Matthew Knies. Would you be willing to move him in the right deal if it was out there? Because he doesn't have some of these protections. I hate
right.
trading a kid like that, but I don't know what else they could do if they want to make that defense younger.
I would prefer not to, but
Yeah.
to your point, he might be he might be your only chip that you can
Yeah.
be able to get younger, or whatever you think that, not
Yeah.
you specifically, EJ, but whatever
Yeah.
you think you need to improve on or get younger, is that you do have a young asset that has a chance to, I think, has already proven himself, but I think has a chance to really become a premier type of power forward. So I would lean more no on moving him out, and I would try to be convincing whoever else has maybe some limited no trade or no trades to say, you know
Mhm.
what, we need to end this relationship, and where would you like to go, and take the hit. Maybe you
Yeah.
might have to. You might only be getting. I'm just going to use a number out of the air. You might only be getting 30 cents on the dollar of a guy that you move out.
Yeah.
But if it opens up some space for yourself to be able to do
Yeah.
some other things, well, then that's what you have to do. So I would be very hesitant. But if the decision is we're really gonna go from the ground up, then I believe anything's on the table for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd be really careful on Knies. I would.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, he's one of those guys. I really think he's a terrific player, and he's one of those players that can really even be better in the playoffs, which, when you're hoping to be there and you want to be better. But I just don't know what else they have that they can move to get him going forward. Any of the draft lottery coming up on Tuesday out of the Secaucus offices of the NHL Network, MLB Network. This is a big lottery for the Leafs because, I mean, they're in a position to maybe get the first overall pick, but they're also in a position, if they fall one spot, I think it is, they have to give that pick to the Boston Bruins. I would think it's going to be a pretty nervous day in Toronto on Tuesday.
Yeah, you better get your whatever Lucky Charms or Lucky
Yeah,
Rabbit Foots or whatever you have that you feel. Maybe you put on an old Eddie Olczyk sweater and maybe you
there you
get
go.
lucky. And I don't know if there's any of those around in Toronto anymore, but yeah, this could really set the it could really set up the next move or moves
Mhm.
for the Leafs on exactly, what's going to transpire here. So yeah, probably some nervous times, and there's certain things that are in your control, EJ, and some that aren't. And this is one in the latter. And you just got to hope and pray that you can keep it and you get yourself a hell of a pick, and then you have the ability to dance with anybody if you get really lucky and get
Mhm.
get a top pick.
Yeah, so that's going to be very interesting on Tuesday night to see where the lottery balls land. Now you're in Edmonton for the Oilers and the Anaheim Ducks, and that series has taken a kind of a turn I did not expect. I mean, especially going into the playoffs, Anaheim 2-6-2 down the stretch. They don't defend very well. We know they have a wealth of young talent and guys that could score. But their penalty killing coming in wasn't great, 27th in the league. The Oilers have the best power play, just set up for the Oilers. But boy, the Anaheim Ducks have been playing great, and the Edmonton Oilers have not, and they have not defended very well, and they find themselves on the brink of elimination for this game in Edmonton. Let's focus on a Toronto kid, Connor McDavid. What do you think? We just talked about Matthews. I mean, McDavid signed that 2-year extension, so he's got 2 years after this. But like, if they were to lose tonight at home in particular, or to lose this series, I don't know where that's going either. I mean, that's another long conversation that somebody's going to have, correct?
Yeah, but again, I mean, Connor's able to hold all the cards, and
Mhm.
if he decides that it's time to, uh, have a change of scenery or to play it out, which is still, still 2 years away. I mean, look, they've played a
Yeah.
lot of hockey here in Edmonton, and it looks
Yep.
like he's banged up. Again, watching from television, this will be the first game I do in live here, EJ, down in the States and on TNT. But Draisaitl was banged up at the end of the year. But every team is banged up.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. There were a lot of people I was hearing in two series in particular, if I can. One
Mhm.
was the Utah Vegas series. A lot of people felt Vegas in 4 or 5, which I thought
Uh-huh.
was really shocking. And a
Yeah.
lot of people thought that this series would be over in 4 and 5, 4 or 5. And with Edmonton winning, which I found to be really interesting, considering what you said at the end about Edmonton having overall a difficult time defensively
Yeah.
themselves. Now I know they did have a stretch when, if you remember, when Connor was I think Tampa was in town, and
Yeah. Oh
he was
yeah.
he was throwing roses at the feet of John Cooper, and all of a sudden they went on a nice little run there. I mean, they
Yeah,
did. They played
they
great
did.
defense. I think they had like maybe 7 goals in 4 games, and they really,
Yep.
they were really playing well. So I don't. It'll be really interesting, as if you're right. If they do, if they don't get to the Cup final, just say if they don't,
Yeah.
he's got 2 years left, and does he believe? Because he definitely out of any player in a long, long time in our league uh, holds the cards. And if any point
Yeah.
he is ready to make a decision, uh, that will get a lot of people's attention. But again, would
Yeah.
it be focused in on one specific place or two? But if he decides to ride it out, uh, the Oilers are always going to be competitive just because of the 1-2 punch with Connor and Draisaitl. So I don't know where it's going to go, EJ. I think just just like the talk in Toronto is, and I think you see what's gone on in Ottawa here in the last 2 days,
Mhm.
3 days with Brady Kachuk. It's just the world that we live in now. Is the rumors will start, and people will have to answer some questions to a certain extent. But he's under contract the next 2 years, and
Mhm.
until he'll make the decision whether he wants to stay or whether or not he wants to go. So, but a big game tonight, and we'll see how it all plays out. But right now, Anaheim, talking to Joel Quenneville, the head coach of the Anaheim Ducks, EJ, he told me verbatim, his team is having a lot of fun, and they know what is at stake in a game 5 here in Edmonton. So we've seen what's happened in Philly, in Pittsburgh. So Joel Quenneville's been around the block. He's won 3 Stanley Cups. So
Yes, he has.
his team understands that they got the Oilers in a great spot, but you don't want to give Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl, Evan Bouchard any kind of life at all. And look at it, it's 3-1. We've seen many teams come back and get to a game 7 and eventually win. And I don't think anybody's doubting that can happen in the series. But the one thing Anaheim can do, and I think that this is where I'll end, DJ, with this series, is the one thing that Anaheim can do, in my opinion, maybe as good as Colorado, is that they can outscore Edmonton.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Yeah. Yes,
because of the two big boys, and we know how awesome that they are. So Anaheim's not afraid to win. They're not afraid to win a 7-6 game where the majority of the league would probably sit there and go, we have zero chance. Colorado could do it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I think you understand what I'm saying is that Anaheim's, they're pretty confident going into this game, and they should be, rightfully so. They're up 3-1, and we'll see how it plays out.
Eddie, just from what you've seen, I know I always tap into you for prognostications. From what you've seen so far, who do you think can win the Cup this year? I mean, we've seen a little of this first round. Some of the teams have already advanced. I mean, who do you think? Who do you like the way that it looks for right now?
Well, I did a lot of the Colorado, Minnesota. I did Colorado, LA, and I've done 2 of the 4 games in the mini Dallas series. I hate to be chalky, EJ, because I'm a horse player, and I spent a few days. I spent a few days out at Woodbine over my lifetime, which is a great racetrack there, and the greater GTA there.
More than a few, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do think it's Colorado.
Yeah,
and then I look at, I do look at Dallas. I do look at Mini. I mean, Carolina. It's on a platter for Carolina. Like, it's time for them to. It's time for them to rise and step up. But I got to stay in the West, EJ. Like, I could see Colorado, Dallas, or Mini being, kind of being one of those teams that eventually hoist the Stanley Cup, because I just think that they're. From what I've seen in person, that they're, they might be just a cut above, a cut above the rest of the league.
All right. Well, listen, before I let you go, got to ask you, you're headed to Churchill Downs you're working on the coverage for NBC for the Kentucky Derby, the Run for the Roses. What's your pick? Who do you like?
I'm not thrilled with the number 1 post position for Renegade, who will be he'll probably be one of the 2 favorites, I would imagine. But his style, I think he'll be able to get position and be able to make one run, and he'll probably be sitting, I don't know, hopefully not more than 15th, out of the 20 horses, at least right now that we got going. The other horse that I was so right now, my pick would probably be the 1, and I'm hoping to get at least 4-1, which is not bad. That's a nice investment. I mean, you make that every day in the market. That your financials every day. You'd make 4-1 on your money every day, EJ. So that's why you're the main man on the Toronto Sports Rush.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
I want to use, and there's a hockey tie to this, so if people will have some patience here. The other horse I'm going to use, I'm not sure where, but I am going to use the number 20 horse, and that's the name of the horse is Full Effort, and it's co-owned by the owner of the Florida Panthers, Vinny and Teresa Viola co-own the number 20 Full Effort, who has never run on dirt before, only run on synthetic and a poly track, just like the track up in Toronto at Woodbine. But I think the way this horse is training, the horse is by Liam's Map, a tremendous sire that really was a very, very good dirt and distance horse. I think if you're looking for any kind of a value, or if you're looking for a bomber underneath any horses you might be playing, I'm definitely going to use the number 20. So right now, EJ, I'm going inside, outside. But if you're asking me while I'm sitting here getting ready to go to the morning skate in Edmonton, Renegade number 1 would be yours truly's pick. But I do have the ability, because I am on TV and have a face for radios, and I'm able to change my mind at any
That's
time
right.
in between
You
now and then.
are.
So
You
if you
are.
look at the fine print right at the bottom of my
That's right. Your
whatever
selection.
contraption I'm on right here, it says that
Yeah.
person speaking has the right and
Right, to change his
ability
mind.
to change his mind, even though he does not have one at any point between now and the Kentucky Derby.
All right, Eddie. Well, listen, get over that skate. Thanks so much
Oh,
for the
yeah.
time today. Really, really appreciate it. Have a safe trip to Churchill Downs. Another great event down there. I'm sure we'll talk to you down the road. But thanks again for the time today.
EJ, always great to be with you, buddy. I love you. Keep up the good work. Travel safe yourself, and we'll look forward to chatting here somewhere down the road. And be really interesting to see what the Leafs do. And I'm hoping that maybe it funnels into a certain way for people that I know that might be in positions of high authority there in Toronto. So if that ends up being the case,
Interesting.
I'd be really happy for a certain type of person that gets that chance. All right.
All right. Okay, well, that leaves us with a little mystery at the end.
Oh yeah,
I'm
just a little
sensing
bit.
that- I'm
Hey!
sensing
Look at
that's
EJ.
where it's gonna end.
EJ. All you know me. Look at. It's either black or white with me. See.
All right, there he is, the great Eddie O. Thanks everybody for staying with us today on the Toronto Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network. Remember to like and subscribe to all the great content we got, and we had the great Eddie O today. See you, everybody.